Yeah, it's quite nice. The weather's really clean, really beautiful. It's warm, no jacket, can you believe? So let's talk about how Russia saved my life. So it did so in many different ways. Russia saved my life. Let's make a nice image here. Russia saved my life, number one. I was out of shape, and I was not as awake as I am now. And to be honest with you, I think that was probably due to the food in America. The food in America really has a lot of chemicals in it. Now, for those of you listening to this broadcast, if you're in America, you can eat well there, but you need to be very careful what you put in your body. A lot of the processed foods, a lot of the meats, they have a tremendous amount of chemicals. They have a lot of hormones in the meats there, and that's why Americans are so big. If you look at Russians, they're not big. Has my body changed since I've been here? Yes, it has, actually. I have become skinnier, more in shape. I exercise now. And another thing that both my wife and I notice, and I'm not trying to be weird here or political, but I want to say that mentally I'm more awake. I really am, and she's more awake. So that's one way that Russia saved my life, is the food that I eat. They're more tied to the earth. The stuff is, when you buy vegetables here, they're grown here in St. Petersburg. They have a lot of these greenhouses. Another thing I will say is that Russia wants its population. You can research that if you want. They really would like to have more population. So they're trying to feed you as best they can, I think, for the most part. I have heard stories many times of Russia turning away stuff that's at the border. Like, it'll come across the news and then somebody will tell me about it. Obviously, I don't speak much Russian, but I have heard, many times, like a shipment of chicken was turned away, or a shipment of, God, I forget what it was, something that was meats, I guess. They found out that it was, like, not good, and they turned it back. So the food purity here is much better. Number one, food purity. Also, mindset. That's number two. Let's go with mindset. Mindset about living. Mindset about being skinnier, okay? Mindset about being in shape. In America, we have a culture where it's okay to be the way you are, and that does change your mind. You think, okay, this is how I'm supposed to be, right? Remember when you were a kid? All the people that were our age then were not fat. Not many. But somehow when we became older, it became okay to be fat. But when I was a teenager, like, say, 16 years old, of course I wasn't fat, and nobody around me was fat. None of my teenager friends were fat. They were good-looking girls. But when you became older, all the people that were like 30, 40 years old were fat. But the people back in the 80s that were 30, 40 years old, they were not fat. No, they were not. So think about that. Mindset of taking care of yourself. So here, you are kind of looked at badly if you're overweight. Now, that does not mean they look at me badly. I want to explain this. As an American, and they know you're an American right away, they kind of accept you as you are because they don't know. They think, well, they're different. They're just different. And we're different in a lot of ways as an American to Russians. So they kind of accept it, but yet still you're more accepted if you're more in shape. Let's put it that way. So the mindset of being healthy is number two. Number three, the mindset of wanting something in your life, wanting more growth, more business, more. Now, I had a business in the United States, and before I moved to Florida, and before the crash in 2008, I was making pretty damn good money. I was successful. That's due to a large part to how I was brought up by my father and the mindsets that he put in me about working hard and things like this. And I also came up with a different way of doing business, and this nobody was doing, and it made me money. It made me a lot of money. I took that money, I started to travel the world, and then I met my wife, and then I came to Russia for a visit, and then later on, after we lived in Florida for a while, I decided to move my business and my life over to Russia. So let me be honest about this. When you first come, you're going to be depressed. If you come to Russia, if you come to live in Ukraine, or really any country, but these are harder countries to live in. And I would say China would fit into this too. China's going to be very hard to live in for a while. You know, it's not going to be easy to actually survive there, because it's a very different culture than what you're used to. But here, for some reason, you want more. You want more out of life. And there's business opportunities here once you get yourself together. So you're depressed in the beginning, but after a while, you start to become more understanding of the culture. You see the positive points. And then you actually want more in life. You want to build yourself. And I wanted to build myself in America, but to be honest, I was a little bit sad. So this is part 3 again, continuation. I think that partly it's the mindset and also maybe the nutrition. To be honest with you, you want something living in another country. You want something living in Russia. And these men that I had dealings with, first of all, teaching English, and then second of all, starting to advise them in business, you know, their attitude rubs off on you. And it rubbed off on me in a positive way. First of all, they're very intelligent, you know, highly developed people, because they're the tops of industry, right? So they're very intelligent. They have high education. My education allowed me to be able to speak to them at their level, which I appreciate very much, what my father did for me and the background that he gave me. And this allowed them to share secrets with me about, well, maybe not secrets, sometimes secrets, but most of it was like stuff that they were struggling with in business and negotiation problems that they were having. And when I helped them, they were very thankful, and that allowed me to start my business. So number 3 is an attitude towards improving yourself and making, like, growing yourself. And to be honest with you about that, very honest, at this current moment, I own more here than I've ever owned anywhere. I had a home in the United States, obviously, I owned that, but as far as like we are putting away money for the future and we're actually buying real estate. Interesting, right? So, let's see, other ways that Russia saved my life. Medicine. That's number 4. Medicine. The medical system here still has a lot of taste of communism, aftertaste of communism, which means they do not charge you extreme amounts of money the way that they do in America. So I broke my arm here in Russia, this arm, and the doctor looked at the thing. It was 12 hours for me to get back from where I was. You know, I fell off a rock. Stupid. I was climbing a rock because Dasha's son, my stepson, was climbing this rock, and I said, I can do the same thing. You know, I wanted the picture too, stupidly. And the bark that I was holding onto this tree to climb up. The bark actually came off the tree. And they say that I flew in the air like this, straight out for a minute, like hung there like Wile E. Coyote, and then just like that. And, yep, my arm went behind me to break the fall, which probably saved my back, actually. And boom, it was broken. And it took me 12 hours to get back to where I was. And when the doctor looked at this, he said, oh, this is a very bad break. It probably needs surgery. But the difference between Russian doctors and American doctors is they're very practical. And he said, you know, I will try. Let me try. He says, you're going to have to give me the arm and let me do what I want. And he gave me lots of coffee because he said, I don't want you to pass out on me, because it had been 12 hours I was sitting with this pain. And he pulled on the thing like crazy, literally put his his foot on the stool that I was sitting on. It was like not a stool, like a chair. And he pulled with all his might and actually popped it back in. And then he looked at it and he said, that doesn't look bad. Let's x-ray it and see if I've done well. He's saying all this in English, mostly, broken English, but I can understand everything he's saying. And then he x-rayed it and he said, I did it. It's right. It's fixed. And of course they put a cast on me and the arm is fine. I lift weights with it now. I lift 26 kilos, 50 some pounds with the arm. And it cost me, I'm going to say $100. I have to pay for medicine here because I'm not a Russian citizen. If it's not life-threatening, yes, you need to pay for it. But again, $100? Geez, I was told that the same operation, the same fixing of the arm would have cost $15,000 in the United States. So, due to the fact that it was a bad break. Okay, it was like, they would have called in all these experts and surgeons and everything, and, So, another thing that happened to me, medical, it was very scary, but this is all true stories. I had an emergency where it was life-threatening, and I had to have my gallbladder taken out because of all that fast food and crap that I ate in America. When I started to lose weight, the gallbladder became infected, and I went to the hospital, and he looked at the thing, the doctor looked at the thing, and he said, this is serious. And I knew that, I was in a lot of pain, but I didn't think it was that serious. But he said, no, we have to operate now. And the one doctor gave me a shot and the pain was still there, like pretty bad. And the other doctor, he was kind. He looked at me and I was kind of like, moaning. And he went and he said, come with me. And, nice people. I'm telling you, educated, high-level Russians, they're very nice. He said, come with me. And I followed him, and he gave me a shot, and the pain went away. And he says, you won't be in any more pain tonight, but I can't give you any more. And I wasn't. The whole night I was able to sleep and relax. But in the morning, 8 a.m., they wheeled me in and did an operation. Now, it was scary as hell, to be honest with you, because half of the lights in the ceiling did not work. But the important things did. Everything, like it was state-of-the-art operation. They did small incisions and they went in orthoscopically, I think is the word. And, all the main lights, the operating lights were perfect. Everything was sterile and perfect. But this is the Russian mindset. Practicality. So what's needed, we'll do that. Okay? What's not needed, we won't mess with it. So I want you to understand the medicine in Russia is, I think it's better than the United States. I want you to understand that. Due to the fact, not technologically. Technologically, the United States is as good as, okay? But the Russian doctors, I've been very impressed with how they operate. I've been to them more than that, like dentistry. Let's talk about dentistry. When I came here, I'm getting all my teeth fixed. Not that they were in terrible shape anyway, but I can get my teeth fixed here for about $80 a tooth, the whole tooth rebuilt. Okay? And that doesn't matter what it is. Okay, if it has to have a root canal, I think I paid less than $200 for a root canal on one tooth only. Everything else is perfect. So, dentistry here is much less expensive and extremely good. If you find the right doctor, the one that is, Well, I have one that is wonderful, and there's many that are wonderful. I don't want that opinion to be out there, but what I'm trying to say is that the one that I have is better than the average. And I'm really impressed. Hey, look, front tooth fixed. I don't know if you look at very old videos of mine, you can see that I've had that broken tooth since I was a child, and it wears down. And I didn't get it fixed in the States because it didn't look terrible, and I thought they're going to charge me a lot of money. And of course they would. I went to the States for one of my teeth, to a dentist, and I said, how much would it be to fix this? And they said, we can only pull it. I said, well, what if I wanted to fix it correctly? And he said, well, it's going to be, something like $5,000. And I was like, why? Well, we have to first of all do a root canal, then we have to file the tooth down to a small point, and we have to make a crown for the tooth. If they're telling you that, that's not true. Modern dentistry, they can rebuild with white, white substance. It's like a white, dentist, don't know what it's called. It's a white polymer, maybe, that is hardened, and it's medical grade polymer, and they can rebuild a whole tooth that's even cracked or whatever with this stuff. Now, an American doctor probably won't tell you that, but this is the truth. I'm giving you all the truth here. So that's really how Russia saved my life. The other thing is seeing the world and having fun. Because you live in Russia, you can see a lot more of the world because it's much closer. I traveled a lot anyway. I already traveled to Europe and the Far East and everything before I ever came to Russia. And of course I did a lot of Central America traveling and the Caribbean and, these kind of things, Central and South America. But here, all of Europe is right there for you. And not only that, but you can jump to the Mediterranean, which is as pretty. It's different from the Caribbean, but it's as pretty as the Caribbean, So these are some of the things. These are some of the things that you find when you're here. And this is all how Russia saved my life. Going to dance in the clubs with the beautiful Russian girls. This changes your mindset. It changes you. It makes you more alive, makes you more awake. So this is how Russia saved my life.